The battlefield was quiet, but the silence was not peace. It was the silence after screams, after fire, after blood had already touched the ground. Smoke rose from broken ships, twisted metal, and the smell of burning fuel filled the air. Among the wreckage, a human soldier walked carefully. His name was Daniel. His boots crunched against ash and broken glass. His hand stayed on the grip of his weapon. Though no enemies were in sight, he had seen too much death in this war. Too many faces he could not save, yet something inside told him not to leave this place so quickly. Then he heard it, a faint sound, like a whisper carried on the wind. His eyes narrowed. He turned toward a fallen pillar of steel. Behind it, he saw her. She was not human. Her skin was pale silver, almost glowing in the shadows. Her long hair, dark as the endless night of space, spilled across the ground. Blood, strange and shimmering like liquid light, flowed from a wound at her side. Her eyes, wide and sharp, locked onto his. When he stepped closer, her lips moved. The words came out weak but sharp. "Do not touch me, human," she whispered. Her voice trembled like a blade held by shaking hands. Daniel froze. He had fought her kind before, proud, powerful beings who ruled the skies and the stars. They called themselves queens and warriors, never bending, never begging. Yet here she was, bleeding, trembling, afraid. Something in her voice was not hatred. It was fear, and that fear pulled him closer instead of driving him away. "I won't hurt you," Daniel said softly. His voice was calm, but his heart beat fast. He moved one step nearer, but she raised a weak hand as if to stop him. Her fingers shook. Her breath was shallow. "You cannot," she whispered again. "You are not allowed." Her eyes glistened as if holding back something more than pain. Daniel looked at her wound. The blood would not stop. He knew if he left her, she would die. And yet, if he touched her, if any of her kind found him near her, he might die as well. He crouched down slowly, close enough to hear her ragged breaths. The battlefield around them felt like another world, empty, frozen in time. His hands shook not from fear, but from the weight of choice. She turned her head slightly. Watching him, her voice dropped even lower. "If you save me, they will kill you." He gave a faint smile, the kind of smile of a soldier who had already accepted death many times. "Then let them try," he whispered back. Her eyes widened, for the first time showing something more than fear, surprise. She stared at this human who did not walk away, who did not look at her as a monster, but as someone worth saving. Daniel tore a strip of cloth from his own uniform and pressed it gently against her wound. She gasped and winced, but she did not pull away. Her hands, weak and trembling, tried to push him, but her strength was gone. "Why?" she whispered, her voice cracked. "Why would you risk this?" "Because you're alive," Daniel said simply. His voice was steady. "And that's enough." The queen's breath caught in her throat. She had heard humans speak many words before. Words of war, words of anger, words of surrender, but never words like these, never words that made her alien heart tremble. The night around them grew colder. The wind whispered through the ruins. Shadows shifted as the fires burned lower. But in that moment, neither of them moved. It was as if the world had paused to watch this strange scene. Daniel tightened the cloth and lifted her carefully. Her body was lighter than he expected. Fragile despite her title of queen, she leaned against him, her head resting against his shoulder for just a second. "Do not," she tried again, but her voice was weak now, broken. "Do not touch me." Yet even as she said it, her hands clutched his arm for balance. Her alien pride battled her fear, but her body betrayed her, seeking his strength. Daniel held her steady, his jaw clenched, his mind screamed with questions, but his heart only told him one truth. He could not let her die. Not here, not like this. As he carried her away from the wreckage, the stars above seemed to watch. Her eyes fluttered half shut, her breath shallow but still there. In the darkness, her alien heart beat faster, not just from pain, but from something she did not understand. For the first time in her life, the queen of a race that despised humans felt the warmth of one's touch. And though she whispered not to, though her pride refused to admit it, her trembling heart betrayed her fear. her need, and something else she had never known: hope. Daniel moved through the ruins carefully, the alien queen's weight pressed against his arm. She was lighter than he expected, but every step felt heavy. Her strange blood shimmered against the cloth he had tied, glowing faintly in the night. Each drop that escaped left a faint trace on the broken ground. The air was still thick with smoke. Fires burned in the distance. The war had turned this place into a graveyard. Daniel knew he should not linger, not with her in his arms. Yet he could not make himself stop. He had already chosen, and that choice was now pulling him deeper. Her voice came again, faint and broken. "Leave me, human," she whispered. Her words trembled like glass about to shatter. "If they find you with me, they will burn you alive." Daniel stopped for a moment. He looked into her eyes. They were not like human eyes. They glowed faintly, sharp yet fragile at the same time. He saw pride there, but also fear and something more, something that reminded him of the people he once swore to protect. "I can't leave you," Daniel said quietly. His voice was low, firm. "If I walk away now, you die, and I will not carry another death on my shoulders." Her lips parted, as if she wanted to argue, but her strength was gone. Instead, she looked away, hiding her face as if ashamed. Her alien pride battled against the weakness of her wounded body. She had never needed help, never accepted it, and yet here she was, clinging to the arm of a human. They reached the shell of a broken ship. Daniel laid her gently against a piece of metal. His hands were steady, though his heart raced. He checked the cloth again. It was soaked through. Her blood glowed like silver fire against his skin. He thought of using his comm device to call for medics, but he knew better. If Command learned he was helping an alien queen, they would brand him a traitor. Worse, they would come for her, not to save her, but to finish her. The choice weighed on him like a mountain. He could save her and risk his life, or leave her and save himself. Every soldier knew what the smart choice was, but Daniel was never the kind of man who lived only for survival. Her voice broke the silence. "Why?" she whispered. Her head turned slightly toward him. Her eyes locked onto his with a mix of confusion and pain. "Why would you risk this for me?" Daniel hesitated. He could have said many things. He could have said it was duty. He could have said it was mercy. But when he finally spoke, his words came from the deepest part of him. "Because I don't see an enemy," he said. His voice was steady. "I see someone who doesn't want to die alone." Her eyes widened. She did not speak, but her lips trembled. For a moment, Daniel thought she would push him away. Instead, her hand moved slightly, not to strike him, not to stop him, but to hold the cloth tighter against her wound, almost as if she accepted his touch. Daniel sat beside her. His mind was torn between logic and instinct. He knew her kind were dangerous. He knew she might turn on him if she regained her strength. Yet something about her made him stay, something that whispered this choice was greater than survival. The night dragged on. The wind carried strange sounds from the ruins. Every noise made Daniel tense. He knew others might come. Hunters, soldiers, scavengers, maybe even her own people. And if they found him, the story would end in fire and blood. But he did not move. He stayed with her, his eyes scanning the dark horizon, his hands ready. Her breathing was weak, but it was steady. Her alien heart beat faintly, but it was still alive. As the stars burned above them, Daniel realized the truth. He had made his choice, and there was no turning back. He would stand between her and whatever came, even if it meant standing against both her kind and his own. The wounded queen whispered one last time before sleep pulled her down, her words soft as the night breeze. "You are a fool, human, but your hands do not feel cruel." Daniel looked at her, at the strange light of her blood, at the rise and fall of her chest. His jaw tightened. He whispered back, though she could not hear him anymore, "Maybe I am a fool, but I will not let you die." And in the silence of the broken battlefield, the human's choice became more than survival. It became the beginning of something neither of them could yet understand, a bond written not in words, but in blood, fear, and fragile hope. The night was not silent anymore. From far across the battlefield came a sound, soft at first, then louder. It was not the crackle of fire, nor the whisper of wind. It was the sound of hunters. Daniel's head lifted quickly. His soldier's instinct knew that sound, the low growl, the scraping metal, the strange rhythm of claws striking against stone. He had heard stories of them, trackers that followed the scent of blood, ruthless and fast. Once they found their prey, they never stopped. The queen stirred weakly. Her eyelids trembled as she forced them open. She looked at him with fear, not pride this time. Her voice broke as she whispered, "They are coming for me." Daniel gripped his weapon tighter. His heart raced. His eyes searched the dark horizon where faint shadows moved. The glow of their eyes flashed for a moment, cold and merciless. "You can't fight them," the queen said. Her voice was low, desperate. "Even wounded, I am their prize. They will not leave without me." Daniel crouched close to her. His jaw tightened. "Then they will have to go through me first," he said firmly. His words carried no fear, only iron. The queen's hands trembled as she tried to push herself upright, but her body betrayed her. She winced, her wound burning. Her pride wanted to fight, but her body gave her no choice. The shadows moved closer. Daniel could hear their heavy breaths, the sharp clicking sound of their jaws. He positioned himself between them and the queen. His mind screamed at him that this was madness, but his heart had already chosen. The first hunter stepped into the broken light of the fires. Its body was tall, armored with rough skin. Its mouth opened in a hiss, sharp teeth glistening. It sniffed the air, its glowing eyes locking onto the queen's silver blood trail. Then its gaze shifted to Daniel. The creature tilted its head, confused. It had expected prey, not a human standing guard. It let out a guttural laugh that echoed in the ruins. Daniel raised his weapon. His finger rested on the trigger, his stance steady. He spoke under his breath, more to himself than to the beast. "Not tonight." The queen watched him. Her chest rose and fell. She could not understand this human. No one stood for her like this, not even among her kind. Her alien heart beat faster, not from fear, but from something she did not want to name. The hunters spread out, circling. Their claws scraped against the stone. Their eyes glowed brighter. Daniel's pulse hammered in his ears. He knew this fight would not be fair. He knew he might not live through it. Yet he planted his feet in the dirt and refused to step back. One hunter lunged. Daniel fired. The shot burned through the dark, striking the creature's chest. It roared, staggering but not falling. More shadows leapt from behind. Daniel spun, firing again, his voice a sharp shout as he fought. The queen struggled to move. Her hand pressed against the wound. Her strength was nearly gone. But she could not look away. She had seen battles. She had seen warriors. But never had she seen a human stand like this, reckless and unbroken. Blood sprayed, the air filled with roars and gunfire. Daniel's body ached, his breath sharp. Yet every time a hunter moved closer to her, he pushed forward. His boots slipped on ash. His arm burned from recoil, but his eyes never left the threat. "You can't win," the queen gasped, her voice trembling. "You are only one man." Daniel turned slightly, just enough to glance at her, his face streaked with dirt, his eyes blazing. "One is enough," he said. Then he fired again. The hunters howled in fury. They moved faster, stronger. The ground shook beneath their weight. Daniel's weapon grew hot in his hands. His muscles screamed. But he did not fall. The queen's breath caught. Her heart raced painfully. She realized she did not want him to fall. She did not want him to leave her alone in this place, her body weak, her mind broken from pain. But her heart betrayed her pride. It beat for the human who stood before her. The shadows pressed closer. Daniel's weapon clicked empty. His eyes narrowed. His body lowered into a stance ready for the last fight. He clenched his fists, ready to face death with nothing but will. And then, from deep inside the ruins, another roar shook the ground. Louder, sharper. It was not the hunters. It was something greater. The queen's eyes widened in horror. Her trembling lips whispered only two words. "The Alpha." Daniel's jaw tightened. Sweat ran down his face. He knew the fight was far from over. He had chosen to protect her, and that choice would now test him beyond all limits. The enemy had arrived, and it would not stop until one of them was gone. The Alpha stepped into the firelight. Its body was twice the size of the others, its skin like black stone, its claws long and curved like blades. The ground shook as it moved, its roar echoing across the battlefield. Every smaller hunter lowered its head, bowing in fear. Daniel's breath caught. His weapon was nearly useless now. Empty and overheated, he could feel the tremor in his arms, sweat dripping down his neck. Still, he did not step back. He stood between the Queen and the Alpha, his fists clenched, his jaw set. The Queen's eyes widened. Fear pierced through her pride. She knew this beast. She knew no human could stand against it. Her voice broke. "Run, human. Run while you still can." Daniel shook his head. His eyes stayed locked on the Alpha. "I don't run," he said firmly, his voice steady. "Not when someone needs me." The Alpha growled low. Its glowing eyes flickered with hunger as it sniffed the air. It smelled blood. Her blood. Her body trembled. Her wound glowed faintly. Leaving her weak, the Alpha stepped forward, its claws scraping against the stone. Daniel reached for the Queen. Without thinking, he pulled her against him. His arm wrapped around her shoulders as he lifted her higher. She gasped in pain, but she did not push him away this time. Instead, her fingers clutched his arm, trembling yet refusing to let go. Something shifted inside her. She could feel his heartbeat against her, strong and steady, even with death standing before them. Her own heart betrayed her again, beating faster, racing not from fear, but from something else. Daniel moved quickly, carrying her behind a fallen wall of steel. He crouched low, keeping his body in front of hers. The Alpha sniffed, growling as it searched for the scent. Its massive head swung side to side. Its jaws snapped shut with a sound like thunder. The Queen whispered, her voice weak, "You are mad. No human would dare touch me. No human would carry me. Yet you why?" Daniel looked at her, his face streaked with dirt and sweat. His voice came soft but fierce. "Because you're alive, because I can't stand by and let you be torn apart, not you." Her eyes locked on his, her pride faltered. She had been taught that humans were weak, selfish, unworthy. Yet here was one, bleeding, exhausted, willing to die only to shield her. Her alien heart shook inside her chest. The Alpha roared again. The ground cracked as it moved closer. Daniel gritted his teeth. He had no more bullets, no blade strong enough to pierce its skin. All he had was his body, his will, and his choice. He turned to her. "If this is the end," he said, his voice calm despite the storm around them, "then at least you won't be alone." Her throat tightened. Words failed her. For the first time in her life, the Queen felt powerless not because of her wound, but because of him. This human's courage broke through her defenses like no weapon ever could. She reached for his hand without thinking, her fingers trembling as they touched his. The contact was brief, but something happened. Her body shivered, her wound pulsed with strange light, and her alien heart beat in rhythm with his. The Queen's eyes widened in shock. She pulled her hand back quickly, staring at her palm. She whispered, almost to herself, "Impossible. This bond is forbidden." Daniel did not understand, but he felt it too. The warmth, the strange spark that flowed when her skin touched his. It was not just pain or fear. It was something alive, something powerful. The Alpha moved again, growling louder. Daniel stood, shielding her, his fists clenched. He had no plan, only determination. But the Queen looked at him, and for the first time she whispered not in fear, but in warning. "If you keep holding me, your blood and mine will mix. It will change you. It will change everything." Daniel's eyes narrowed. He did not step back, his voice steady. "Then let it change me." Her chest rose sharply. Her heart raced so fast she thought it might break. Her alien pride screamed at her to push him away, but her trembling body leaned closer instead. The Alpha roared, shaking the ruins. But between the firelight and the shadows, a human and a Queen sat close, their hands brushing again, their bond growing stronger with every breath. And in that broken battlefield, where blood and fear ruled. Something new was born, something forbidden, something dangerous, yet something neither of them could deny. A bond that would soon decide both their fates. The Alpha circled them like a predator circling trapped prey. Its heavy steps made the ground tremble. Its breath was hot and foul. Glowing from its throat like burning coal, each hunter bowed lower, waiting for their leader's command. Daniel's chest rose and fell quickly. His fists were tight, his eyes unblinking. He had no weapon left, nothing but his body, yet he refused to step aside. Behind him, the queen leaned weakly against the wall, her silver blood still shining. Her eyes followed him, and something inside her heart twisted. The Alpha's growl deepened, but then it stopped. It sniffed again, tilting its massive head. The smell in the air had changed. The scent of her blood was no longer the same. It was mixed with something else, human blood. Daniel's knuckles bled from earlier wounds. His sweat dripped into the dirt, and when he carried her, when his skin pressed against hers, some of that blood had touched. Their bond was more than simple touch now. It had begun to change. The queen's hand pressed against her chest. Her eyes widened in shock as she felt her heart race. Her strength, which was fading, suddenly pulsed again. She looked at Daniel, whispering with trembling lips, "This cannot be. Our blood. It is binding." Daniel frowned, not understanding. "What do you mean?" Her voice was weak but urgent. "My kind, we do not bleed with others. To share blood is to share life. To share life is to bond. No human has ever, no one has ever survived it." Daniel's jaw tightened. He should have been afraid. He should have stepped back, but instead he leaned closer. "Then maybe I'll be the first." Her heart trembled. She turned her face away, ashamed of the warmth in her chest. The Alpha roared again, impatient now. Its glowing eyes narrowed. It had hunted her for the prize of her life. But what it smelled now was different, something it could not explain. The queen whispered, almost broken, if my people know what you have done, they will kill you, they will kill me too." Daniel steadied his stance. His voice was calm. "Then we keep it between us." Her lips parted. She stared at him, stunned by his words. No human had ever spoken like this to her. No one had ever said us. Not me. Not you, but us. The word wrapped around her alien heart like chains she could not break. The Alpha suddenly lunged. Daniel pushed her down, rolling aside as the beast's claws tore into the steel wall. Sparks flew. The hunters hissed and scattered. Daniel pulled her against him again, his body shielding hers. The queen gasped, but she did not fight his touch this time. Her hands pressed into his chest, feeling the wild rhythm of his human heart. For the first time, she whispered, not with pride, but with fear she could no longer hide. "Why do you keep holding me?" Daniel met her glowing eyes, his voice steady despite the storm around them. "Because you don't want me to let go." Her throat tightened. She wanted to deny it, wanted to call him a fool, but her trembling body betrayed her. Her hands clutched him tighter. Her alien heart pounded so loud it hurt. The Alpha roared again, slamming its claws into the ground. But even as death surrounded them, even as fear pressed into their bones, something else was happening. Her wound, though still deep, glowed differently. The silver blood shimmered and then slowed. Her body was healing, not fully, but faster than before. She realized it was not her power alone. It was the bond, their blood mixing, their hearts beating near each other. The human stubborn life force was feeding hers, keeping her alive. Her eyes burned with shock and something more. She whispered, trembling, "You are changing me, human. You are changing everything." Daniel held her steady, his jaw tight, his voice low. "Maybe you're changing me too." The hunters hissed louder. The Alpha raised its head. Sensing the shift in energy, the queen's eyes glowed faintly now, not just from her own kind's power, but from something mixed, something new. Daniel felt it too, a strange fire in his veins. His muscles ached, but his body did not fall. His chest burned, his pulse thundered. He looked at her and knew whatever had begun between them was dangerous, forbidden, yet unstoppable. The queen's secret was no longer only hers. It lived in him now, in their bond. And as the Alpha prepared to strike again, She whispered with trembling lips, words she never thought she would speak to a human. "Do not die, Daniel. Not before I understand what you have done to my heart." The Alpha roared, the sound rolling across the battlefield like thunder. The ruins shook, dust falling from broken walls. The smaller hunters hissed and clicked, circling tighter, their glowing eyes locked on the queen. But their steps hesitated. They sensed something was different, something unnatural. Daniel's body ached, his muscles screaming for rest. His chest burned as if fire flowed through his veins. He knew it was not just his own blood anymore. The bond with her was changing him. But he had no time to question it. The queen leaned weakly against the steel wall. Her silver blood slowed, her wound pulsing with faint light. Her eyes glowed brighter than before. She looked at Daniel with fear and disbelief. "It is happening," she whispered. "Your blood is inside me. My strength is inside you." Daniel clenched his fists, his jaw set. He felt the truth in her words. His vision sharpened. His heartbeat thundered like a war drum. Every sound, every breath of the hunters became clear. The Alpha lunged, claws slicing through the air. Daniel moved. Faster than before, his body blurred as he shoved the queen aside and rolled across the ground. The beast's claws smashed into the earth, tearing stone like paper. Sparks lit the night. The smaller hunters charged. Daniel grabbed a broken steel pipe from the ruins, his grip tight, his body heavier, stronger. He swung. The pipe cracked against a hunter's jaw. The creature roared and fell back, stunned. The queen's eyes widened. "Impossible," she whispered. "No human should have that strength." Daniel turned, sweat streaking down his face, his voice rough. "Maybe I'm not just human anymore." The Alpha roared again, furious now. It charged, its massive body crashing through the ruins. Daniel braced himself. His arms shook as the beast struck, claws scraping sparks against the steel pipe. The impact threw him back, but he landed on his feet, blood dripping from his lips. The queen crawled closer, her voice trembling. "You cannot win. You will burn yourself out. Your body is not made for this bond." Daniel glanced back at her, his chest rising and falling, his eyes blazing. "Then I'll burn until it's done." The Alpha lunged again. Daniel dodged, rolling across the dirt. His pipe struck its arm. The beast howled, black blood spraying. The smaller hunters attacked, but Daniel moved through them like fire, his arms heavy but unbroken, his heart refusing to stop. The queen watched, her body trembling, her pride shattered. She had lived her whole life believing humans were weak, fragile, beneath her people. Yet this one human fought with the strength of two worlds, and worse. Her alien heart beat for him. Daniel was struck across the chest. He staggered, blood spilling, his vision blurred. The Alpha roared, lifting its claws for the final strike. The hunters hissed in triumph. The queen screamed, "Daniel!" Her voice broke through the chaos. Her hand reached for him. In that moment, their eyes met, his body broken, hers bleeding, but their bond alive. Something ignited, not in his weapon, not in her wound, but in the space between them. A surge of light burst for where their blood had mixed earlier, silver and red. Human and alien, it flared around Daniel's chest, burning like fire. He stood, his body trembling. His eyes glowed faintly with the same light as hers. The Alpha hesitated, sensing something beyond prey, something beyond human. Daniel raised the pipe again, his voice steady. "You won't take her." The Alpha struck. Daniel met it head on. Their clash shook the ruins, stone cracked, fire burst higher. Hunters scattered from the shock. The queen gasped as the energy around Daniel flared brighter. Every strike carried more weight, more force. The Alpha growled in frustration, slashing wildly. But Daniel did not fall. His body moved with unnatural strength, his fist striking, his weapon tearing through flesh. His blood burned, his vision white with fire. The queen pressed her hand to her chest. Her heart pounded painfully. She whispered, her voice shaking. "He is changing. He is becoming." Her words trailed into silence, her eyes filled with something she had never felt before. The Alpha staggered back, its black blood dripping. Its roar shook the night. But for the first time, it sounded less like victory and more like rage. It saw the truth. This human was no longer prey. Daniel stood tall, his chest rising with fire, his body broken yet alive, his voice a whisper carried through the battlefield. Not one step closer. The Alpha lowered its head, snarling, preparing for one final charge. The ground shook, the ruins quivered, the Queen's breath caught, her trembling lips whispered, "If he falls now, I fall too." Their bond was sealed in blood, their fates tied, the turning point had come. The Alpha lowered itself, its claws digging into the broken ground. Its roar split the night, promising death. The smaller hunters pulled back, their heads bowed, waiting for their leader to end it. Daniel stood in the center of the ruins, his chest heaved, blood dripping from wounds that should have ended him long ago, yet his eyes glowed faintly, a mix of human fire and alien light. The steel pipe in his hand shook, bent from the force of battle, but he still raised it. The Queen leaned against the wall, her silver blood slowing, her wound no longer bleeding as before. Her body trembled, her alien heart beat too fast, her eyes locked on Daniel. And in that moment, she understood the bond had changed him, but had also changed her. The Alpha charged, the ground split beneath its massive weight. Daniel roared back, a sound fierce and raw. He ran forward, his broken body fueled by fire that was no longer only his own. The clash was thunder. Daniel's weapon struck. The Alpha's claws slashed, sparks and blood lit the air. The smaller hunter screeched. Circling, Daniel was thrown back, his body slammed into stone, pain ripping through him. He coughed blood but forced himself to stand again. The Queen cried out, her pride shattered, her voice desperate, "Stop, you will die." Daniel wiped blood from his lips. His voice was rough but unbroken. "Then I'll die standing." The Alpha lunged again. Daniel dropped the broken pipe, his fists clenched, his body glowed with that strange mix of blood and fire. He struck with his bare hands. His punch landed against the Alpha's jaw. The beast staggered, its roar cut short. The Queen's eyes widened. Her voice trembled. "No human could do this, not without me." She pressed her palm against the ground, feeling the bond. Her power flowed into him, not willingly, but drawn by the connection their blood had made. His strength was hers, her will inside his heart. Daniel struck again and again, his fists bleeding, his arms shaking, but each blow carried more than human strength. The Alpha howled, its claws swiping wildly. The earth cracked, the ruins shook, but Daniel did not stop. At last, with one final roar, Daniel slammed his hand against the Alpha's throat. The beast crashed into the dirt, its roar fading into silence. The smaller hunters hissed, then froze. Their leader had fallen, their glowing eyes dimmed. One by one, they melted back into the shadows, leaving only silence behind. Daniel staggered, his body broken, his chest rising and falling. He turned slowly, his eyes searching for her. The Queen, still pressed against the wall, her glowing eyes wide, her lips trembled. He walked toward her, step by step, his legs weak, his body covered in blood. He should have fallen, but the bond kept him upright. When he reached her, he knelt down. His hand touched hers gently. Her throat tightened. Her voice came as a whisper. "Why, Daniel, why risk everything for me?" Daniel's eyes softened, his voice low, steady. "Because I couldn't watch you die." Her heart pounded painfully. Her chest rose and fell. She had sworn never to need a human, never to trust one. But her alien heart had betrayed her. It no longer beat with pride alone. It beat faster, harder, each time his hand touched hers. She whispered, tears burning her eyes, "You are a fool, a human fool." Daniel smiled faintly. "Maybe," he said, "but I'm your fool." Her body shook. Her hands trembled as she clutched his arm. She wanted to push him away, to remind him he was nothing but prey. Yet her heart betrayed her. It whispered a truth she could not escape. She did not want him to leave. The battlefield around them was silent now. Only fire and wind remained. But in that silence, a queen and a human sat together, their blood bound, their hearts tied. She leaned closer, her voice weak but unbroken. "If my people know of this, they will kill us both." Daniel's jaw tightened, his voice calm. "Then let them try." Her eyes closed. Her trembling body leaned into him. Her alien pride finally surrendered, not to fear, not to defeat, but to the bond her heart could no longer deny. "Bleeding," she whispered once more, but this time her voice was not sharp with warning. It was soft, fragile, filled with something she had never spoken before. "Do not leave me, human." And Daniel, broken yet alive, whispered back with fire in his voice, "Never." The night closed around them, not with silence, but with the sound of two hearts beating together, forbidden yet unbroken. Her alien heart had betrayed her fear, and in doing so, it had chosen him.